Yes, indeed, folks. You listen to Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, Total Biscuit. I have a story for you. Let me tell you a tale. This happened the day before I actually left my guild. It's an anecdote. So here we go. We were going to our weekly lottery. And by weekly lottery, I mean 25-man Vault of Archivon. Where what we effectively do is we all go into the instance and we roll 4 dice. And the people who get the best rolls get free loot. And then we leave. That's pretty much VOA. Yeah. I keep forgetting. They were supposed to put a raid boss in there, but they forgot, and instead they just put a guy that kind of roars at you a bit. But he eventually just gives you free loot anyway. So, it's a small hurdle, but we get over it. Now, we took a pug because there weren't enough on, and the guild had already done its weekly lottery run anyway, so I thought, hey, I'll just run with a pug, see if I can maybe get something. So I did. And we got a number of different people together. We got a 25-man and we went and steamrolled the instance. Now, I looked on my recount, as I usually do, because I was testing out the arcane spec, which I must point out is apparently still viable, since I would have been top of the DPS mitis if I'd forgotten to take off my crimson felt hat and put on my cowl of sheet lightning instead. Whoops. Oh well, I was still only about 10 DPS behind the top guy. So, I think I did pretty well for myself. However, I noticed something rather odd. I went down, I looked at the bottom of the meter, and there was a rogue there who'd barely done any damage. And he had really bad DPS. Indeed, his DPS was around 800, and I thought, this is odd, because last time I checked, the tanks were doing more than that. So I look at his recount, and it's like, this is interesting, he's barely hit the boss. And I discovered that he had DC'd from the vast majority of the fight. And the rest of the fight, he had done really badly. I don't know what he was doing, maybe just auto-hitting or something. Spamming kidney shot. Who knows? However, being the fickle mistress that fate is, we got 2 pieces of tier 7.5 rogue loot, and I thought, okay, it's cool, we'll give it to the other rogue. Oh wait, there isn't another one. He's the only rogue. So what you're basically telling me is that a guy who was DC'd for the vast majority of the fight, and when he wasn't there, was doing about as much DPS as, well, let me put it this way, I did more DPS than that at level 70. You're telling me that guy gets to walk away with at least the second best in slot, if not the best in slot, leggings and chest? Really? You're seriously telling me that? What is wrong with you? What the hell were you thinking putting this stupid raid instance in the game? I can understand easy bosses. I can understand loot bosses because I've done them before. For instance, Shade of Akama, the loot boss in Black Temple. I.e., here is a reward for getting past Nagentis and for getting and doing the attunement. Rage Winter Chill, here is a reward for getting it to Mount Hyjal. It is a boss that is not very hard. You can pretty much steamroll with your eyes shut and get some nice loot and then get back to the important job of actually doing the instance. But then again, to actually do those bosses before they took away all the achievements, which was a long time ago, you had to actually beat the previous tier of content, so it was quite hard. Now, don't get me wrong, I do not believe in achievements, but then again, of course, once the achievements had been taken away, I would have said, hey, you probably should have moved those loot bosses a little bit further in. Switch out Rage Twitter Chill. What the hell? I've been using Twitter too much. Yes, switch out Rage Twitter Chill for something else that's 150 characters or less. Like, for instance, Anatherin would have worked quite well. Anatherin would have probably separated the men from the boys just a little bit. It's not that hard, but it's hard enough. Nagentis is good enough to stop most people from running through the Shade of Akama and taking his free loot. That was back in the Burning Crusade. Now, VOA isn't like that. VOA is not a reward boss. It's not even a loot chest boss for those who have progressed to a certain level of content. Anyone could do this boss because it is the easiest. I mean, I cannot think, honestly, aside from the joke bosses like Shade of Akama, I cannot think of an easier raid boss at all. And I'm going as far back as Zul'Gurub here. The easiest supposed instance in the entire game as regards to raid content. I can't even think of a Zul'Gurub boss that is actually easier than Vault of Archivan in any respect. And 25-man is not remotely harder than 10-man at all. Yet it upgrades the tier of loot available. You get tier 7.5. And I think and I'm surprised that I haven't seen more rage about this. Season 3, well, not so much Season 3, but Tier 3 PvP gear. Do you know how hard it is to get Tier 3 PvP gear without going to VoA? It's challenging. It is hard. I haven't got there yet. If I actually cared about PvP, that could be my goal, but I don't. I wish this chair would stop mucking about. Seriously. I'm like sitting on a tiny little stool here. I might as well be milking a cow. Let's try it again. Hey, gas lift, up you go. I am above the microphone, I am sitting down, and the chair is fine. The funny thing is I've actually lost weight. I'm down to like 10.5 stone or something, which is quite impressive. But anyway. VoA is a disgrace. I cannot fathom why they would put it in there. Why give loot which is harder to get otherwise to people that do not deserve it? This is the same problem I have with people who have been whining and crying and, I want it. I want the, what are they, badges of emblems of valor. I want emblems of valor. I don't have the time and my guild doesn't have 25 people. I want it. I want it because I'm casual. I don't mind if I have to get 10 more badges of heroism, which would indicate that I have way too much more time on my hands than I claim and cannot possibly be casual in any respect. I'm so casual, I can only do heroics for 6 hours a day. Are you kidding? You are a poop socker. By definition, you are a poop socker. You raid more than anyone else in the world. Seriously. You do heroics for as much time as the guys who used to wipe on Cthulhu used to raid, and those were the hardcore days when things took time. You are not casual. You are just really bad at the game. There is a distinction to be made. There is no way in a million years that the conversion, say, from 10 to 1 for emblems of heroism to emblems of valor would ever benefit a casual player, because it would take way too long to get anything. You can pug all of the tier 7.5 content. All of it. It is a joke. Seriously. I cannot fathom the logic behind that. It is stupid. I mean, VoA is the essence of everything that is wrong. It is, in an instance form, everything that is wrong with the attitude of entitled casuals and people that pander to them and the bleeding hearts that support them. It's like, I can't do it, so I want something else that's easier. No! Stop it! Seriously. Tier 7.5 is worthless. It is no longer an indication of people that don't suck. I mean, for God's sake, Nax 25 is bad enough as it is. It's horrendously easy. Anyone can do Nax 25. You would have to be an absolutely incapable player. I mean, I'm talking about the kind of person that is not good enough to play Wii Sports. That is how bad a gamer you would have to be. You would have to be blind, deaf, dumb, and a multiple amputee. And even then, I think you could do it just by rolling your face on the keyboard. That is how bad you would have to be, not to be able to do 25-man Nax for tier 7.5. I do not know if these people exist, but evidently they do. And I cannot fathom as to how, because last I checked, on the basis of evolution, we should be past that. Indeed, if we needed one piece of evidence to prove that the theory of evolution was nothing more than cockamamie BS created by some crazy scientists that want us all to go to hell, then the player base of World of Warcraft would be it. These people cannot have evolved to the state that the rest of us have, therefore evolution is complete rubbish. They were just put on Earth to annoy us, because God is a vengeful God, God is a horrible God, and God does not want you to be happy in World of Warcraft. That's why he put stupid people on Earth, to test us. Either that, or he was just having a really cruel joke. And VoA is the prime example of that cruel joke. It takes away more than you could possibly imagine. You think, well, Total Biscuit, surely it's just an easy way for a couple of people to get some epics. Oh, and it's random. And you can only get 3 pieces of tier 7.5. 1 piece is too many pieces from that joke of an instance. It's like the Stay Alive achievement. It's like, hey, you're still alive. You log in on the 4th anniversary of WoW, you get this pet as a reward. It's a prime example, but instead of giving a non-combat pet, which I don't really care about because it doesn't affect the game, they give away actual best-in-slot or second best-in-slot epics for showing up and being lucky on the dice roll. What is this? This is not a casino. This is not a children's raffle. This is not playing bingo with a 5-year-old preschool class. This is supposed to be a game in which there is challenge, and the acquisition of items is supposed to be rewarding because you have worked for them. Otherwise, it's not good. There was a quote from a certain movie by the name of The Incredibles which stated, "If everyone is special, no one is." If you all have tier 7.5, then what is the point? Why do we even wear it? For God's sake, I don't wear my tier 7 equivalent headpiece because everyone else has got that or better because they were able to turn up and face roll their way through the content, so I wear the crimson felt hat as a reminder of the days when not everybody could get all of the items. You know what? I might say to my guild, well, oh yeah, I don't have a guild. I might gather some like-minded people and say, guys, would you mind terribly taking me to AQ40 so that I can get the tier 2.5 headpiece? Because as of right now, that is more challenging in a level 80 group than doing all of this tier 7.5 content, and having that item means more. VoA makes epics and progress meaningless. Epics and progress are tied together inextricably, and if you say you are there for the progress, not the items, you are lying to some degree or another. It doesn't matter. Everybody, and I do mean everybody, at some nagging part of their mind wants the purples. For whatever reason, whether or not it be through sheer greed, loot whoring, or whether or not they simply want the guild to progress, or whether they want to progress on their character, or whether they just like the looks of them. They want them, one way or the other. They are desirable, they are inextricably linked to your progress in the game. They are the markers. They are the indicators. They are the flags and badges of honor. They are the old school badges of honor. Back to a time when achievements didn't exist. The way to show what you had achieved is to show what you were wearing. Those items signified your achievements because they were hard to get. If you had better items, you had achieved more in the game. That makes perfect sense because this entire game is about progressing your character. So logically, the way to progress your character would not be to acquire merit badges. It would not be to go through the roles and do this instance umpteen times in order to do it some bizarre, ridiculous way, for no apparent reason other than to satisfy an arbitrary system that serves no practical purpose whatsoever and is disliked by a good portion of the player base. No! Back in the day, they gave you items, which actually helped progress your character. And they looked awesome, which did help matters. VoA needs to be destroyed in a sudden cave-in. There need to be fault lines in that hall of stone that cause the entire thing to collapse in on itself and never be seen again. But no! What are we doing? We're expanding it. We're giving it another wing. We're giving you tier 8 equivalent loot, or indeed tier 8 loot from killing yet another boss, which is no doubt going to be doable by guys in greens who know nothing more than the ability to spam Sinister Strike and hope for the best. What the hell are you playing at? Do you wish to drain every last piece of challenge from this game? It's like, hey, great, guys, seriously, believe us when we say that Old WoW will be great and challenging and awesome, and heretics and monsters and heretics and Sindri! All of these wonderful things. Mama Luigi. And yet, we're actually gonna put this other one along here. It's like, ooh, yeah, you've got to kill this really hard boss for tier 8. Or alternatively, you could go in here, face roll a boss, and roll the damn dice. I take this coin, and I flip it in the air, and it makes this sound. Well, that should have made a better sound, that was on paper. Let's drop it on a harder surface. There we go. Heads! I win the best item in the game. Tails, I wait till next week, and flip it again. Pathetic. My name is Total Biscuit, and you're listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio. Time to play some Machine Eye Supremacy, because quite frankly I ain't played them in a while, and they are a wonderful band. It's March of the Undead, and I will be right back after this. It's Blue Please on WoW Radio, WCRadio.com. Enjoy.